In 1846, after a devastating shipwreck, 3 sailors wash up on a remote, fog-covered island in Scotland. But this island is not just deserted. It is trapped in a world of dark mysteries and curses. The island is ruled by the vengeful curses of 3 sisters, and anyone who sets foot on this island never returns alive. Today's movie, based on this ancient folktale, delves into a terrifying world where past curses, horrors, and unknown secrets give rise to an overwhelming sense of fear. As these sailors attempt to uncover the island's mysteries, they find themselves putting their lives in grave danger. Will they survive the grip of a dark force, or will they succumb to the island's curse? This horror thriller will not only keep you on the edge of your seat with fear, but it will also drag you deeper into the heart of the mystery, where the line between truth and fiction disappears. Come, let's uncover how this island's curse, the shadow of death, and a dreadful cursed future await. A small boat cuts through the vast Pacific Ocean, carrying 3 exhausted and disoriented men, Oliver, Callion, and Jim. They originally set out across the sea for trade, but nature's fury shatters all their plans in an instant. This is the moment when, stranded on a broken boat, the 3 men lose themselves in time, direction, and reality. But suddenly, a faint outline of an island appears in the distance. They hope, perhaps this is the path to survival. The island is desolate, but not entirely uninhabited. Some people do live here, but the entire place has an eerie, unnatural silence and stillness. The 3 of them somehow manage to reach the shore. However, after battling the sea for so long, their bodies are completely broken. But what they don't realize is that someone has been watching their arrival on this island all along. From a distant mountainous region, a mysterious figure has been silently observing their movements through a telescope. A short while later, suddenly, an unfamiliar figure appears before them. His name is Fingal. There's a strange stillness in his eyes and face, yet his demeanor carries a hint of compassion. Fingal takes them to a safe shelter, provides them with food, and arranges for them to rest. Encouraged by his kind nature, Oliver, Callion, and Jim open up about the events that led them here. They explain how they had once set sail on a large trading ship, and how, due to nature's fury, that ship was lost to the depths of the sea. In the end, they reached this island in a small boat, an unknown, desolate, and mysterious place. Now the 3 sailors face a new crisis, intense cold, and a lack of food. At this moment, 2 unfamiliar young women were standing outside the cabin. Quietly, they listened to everything being said. A mysterious smile spread across their faces. Perhaps they were happy about the arrival of the newcomers, or maybe there was some other reason for their joy. They began to discuss among themselves. The 3 men have arrived, and they could be helped. But the question remains, is the help only about fire and food? Or is there something more hidden behind it all? Meanwhile, inside the room, Oliver's curious gaze begins to wander around. His eyes fall upon a pile of old books. He picks one up and starts reading it intently. And this is where a new twist in the story begins to unfold. After a while, Fingal returns to him. Oliver is still deeply engrossed in reading the mysterious book, but upon seeing Fingal, he quickly shuts it and hides it in the pocket of his jacket. Strangely, he doesn't return the book to the shelf. Fingal, now deciding that Oliver's wounds need treatment, sets off with the 3 men toward his farm. They move slowly forward through the cold breeze, but suddenly one of the young women, Corrigan, steps in front of them, blocking the path. Her behavior has become completely strange. Looking at Fingal, she says, "You can't take them to your farm." Then her behavior becomes even more bizarre as she suddenly hugs Jim and says, "You came here for me, didn't you?" The situation quickly becomes uncomfortable. Fingal's face grows serious. In anger, he grabs Corrigan and pulls her away, warning her in a cold voice, "If you do that again, the consequences will be terrible." Corrigan freezes, fear flashing in her eyes. Without saying a word, she slowly steps back. But there's a lingering, unspoken intention in her gaze. The behavior of Corrigan seems very strange to the 3 newcomers, but Fingal manages to diffuse the situation. With a light smile, he says, "Don't mind her. The girl's mentally disturbed. Many years ago, her brother was lost at sea, and ever since then, she believes that one day he will return. She must have mistaken one of you for her brother." Hearing this, all 3 of them fall silent. They don't speak, but deep inside, an unknown seed of doubt is planted in their minds. They then reach Fingal's farm, where Oliver is to be treated. There, they are introduced to a doctor named Douglas. Douglas is an experienced physician, and he carefully begins to examine Oliver's wounds. But even here, something strange catches their attention. They notice that the people in this place seem overly attentive. Their behavior is anything but ordinary, as if there is something hidden beneath the surface. As night falls, the unsettling feeling grows even stronger. The island's silence, the strange hospitality, and the countless unknown eyes. Everything together makes it feel like something is definitely not right. Jim was resting at the time. Sitting by the window of the room, he suddenly sees a mysterious shadowy figure slowly disappearing into a dark alley. Driven by curiosity, he grabs a lantern and steps outside. The cold, biting wind and eerie stillness surround him. It is then that Jim sees a well-dressed woman standing right in front of him. Motionless, expressionless, there is no emotion in her eyes, as if something or someone has taken away all expression from her face. Terrified, Jim quickly rushes back inside the room. The next morning, the three of them decide, enough of the sweet behavior and hospitality, they will uncover the truth themselves. Finding a way to escape this island is now their only goal. They set out to explore the island. What they discover is strange. There are many houses on this small island, but very few people. They notice only a handful of locals. The rest seem to be invisible. This mystery raises one question in their minds. Did anyone live in these houses before? If so, where did they go? The three of them now decide to split up and conduct their own investigations. They scatter in different directions, each searching alone. As the evening light begins to fade, two of them, Oliver and Jim, return to their room, but Callion has still not come back. He went off alone to investigate and has strayed down the wrong path. The surrounding jungle is so dense and complex that he can't tell which way is the right one. Fear is evident on his face, but he can't find a way back. Meanwhile, Oliver and Jim both grow anxious. One of their companions is lost in the dark jungle, and they have no idea where he is. But what's surprising is that when Corrigan hears the news, she becomes visibly terrified. However, Dr. Douglas remains completely unfazed. There is no sign of worry on his face. On the contrary, he remains so calm, it's as if this is not an important matter at all. This strange behavior only deepens Oliver and Jim's worry. They can't make sense of what's happening on this island. And the most terrifying question is, are the people of this island hiding something? Perhaps the terrifying truth is about to reveal itself to them, slowly, alongside the darkness of the night. Meanwhile, Corrigan, in a state of agitation, rushes to the doctor. The scene is truly frightening. Her eyes seem filled with an eerie darkness. There is an unnatural confusion on her face, and her behavior exudes a chilling coldness. The doctor tries to calm her down, but something is clearly off. In the adjacent room, Oliver suddenly hears strange noises. Quietly, he sneaks over to investigate and hides to watch. He sees the doctor forcefully holding Corrigan. Her breathing is becoming heavy, and she seems to be trembling from within. Before the doctor can examine her, Oliver quickly retreats, returns to his room, and begins to study the map, trying to find out more about the island. But then comes the most shocking revelation. On the map that was supposed to cover the entire area, there is no trace of this island. They've been on an island for so long, yet it doesn't appear on the map. Is this really possible? Or have they stumbled upon a place that lies beyond the reach of ordinary knowledge? Just then, Jim hears a sound by the window. He walks over and sees Callion standing in front of the door. Excited, Jim runs to open the door, but at that very moment, Oliver stops him. He says, "Don't open the door. Callion hasn't returned yet." Hearing this, Jim freezes. But he saw Callion with his own eyes. Could it be that the Callion outside is actually someone or something else? At that moment, an unknown chilling fear spreads through the room. That night, Oliver couldn't sleep a wink. Restlessly, he tossed and turned in his bed. Finally, he took out the mysterious book he had secretly kept. Since arriving on this island, this book seemed to be the only real clue he had. As Oliver flipped through the pages of the book, a chill ran down his spine. It was written that many ships had wrecked on this island before, and countless lives had been lost due to natural disasters. And those who somehow survived never made it back from this island. This information filled Oliver's mind with deep despair. He was overwhelmed with thoughts. Ever since they arrived, one strange event after another had occurred. Corrigan's bizarre behavior, Callion's sudden disappearance, and that unknown woman in white, whom he had caught a glimpse of in the jungle. That night, when everything is still, Oliver lights a candle in search of peace, but in the flickering light, the camera slowly turns, and the audience sees a mysterious woman standing right behind him, silent, motionless. But Oliver still knows nothing. The next morning, as usual, the doctor goes for a walk by the seaside. But today's morning is different. There, he discovers a dead body and this body is not of an ordinary person. It is Kellyan's, the one who had gone missing in the jungle the day before. Upon hearing the news, Oliver and Jim rush to the scene. They are stunned, speechless, because they begin to realize every fear, every doubt they had, is slowly turning into reality. Now one question remains: will they be able to survive? The two of them finally come to a decision. They must leave this island as quickly as possible. The situation here is far from good, and one of their companions has already died. Flipping through the pages of the diary they have, they discovered that the history of this island is equally mysterious. Once there was nothing here, and no one knows the true origin of this island. But the most astonishing thing is, on this island, there is not just two girls, but another one, always hidden, wearing a white dress. That night, they decide to leave the island as planned. With their bags packed, they set off, using the old boat, starting their journey by sea. But within moments, something strange happens. Their surroundings fill with thick fog, and nothing is visible. They become even more terrified as, at times, they hear the voice of their deceased companion, his screams echoing in the mist. Yet in reality, there is no one around. Their situation grows worse, and after a while, they hear the voice of Fingal. They see him, lantern in hand, searching for them. They return to the house with Fingal once again. At that point, Fingal reveals to them they are trapped on this island. No matter how hard they try, they will not be able to leave. Even if they attempt to escape, their death is inevitable. But why is this happening? And what is the true mystery behind it? This is when Fingal begins to explain the details to them. Fingal tells them that several years ago, an unusual event began on the island. A dead body washed ashore and reached the island, and ever since, strange occurrences started happening in the village. Many people later died under mysterious circumstances. Then they start reading the diary carefully once again, and this time, they uncover new information. They learn that many years ago, there were many more people living on the island. However, among them was a girl who was completely different from the others. Her name was Perseus. This girl was very special. Her skin color, her walk, and her behavior. Everything was unlike anyone else. Even her hair was golden, completely different from the rest of the villagers. The villagers believed that she had come to bring something good for them. And indeed, after her arrival, the village's farming, the people's health, everything started to improve. But the trouble began when, due to her beauty and distinctiveness, the village men started to take notice of the girl. One day, just as the story goes, a man mistreated Perseus and later killed her. Her body was dumped near the sea in a manner that was strange and horrifying. And this is where Fingal had lied. Her body didn't wash up from the depths of the ocean, but rather, the villagers had thrown it there. From that moment on, the island became cursed. Soon after, every girl on the island began to act strangely, and even the villagers' peace of mind was shattered. This is why the girl named Corrigan sometimes exhibits bizarre behavior, and her eyes appear odd as well. Currently, there are only 4 people living on this island, but there is an even deeper mystery behind it, one that they have yet to uncover. Fingal reveals an even more terrifying truth to them. He tells them that several years ago, many people lived on this island, but the cursed spirit killed everyone. Only 4 survived, keeping them alive. The spirit has been waiting for new arrivals to the island to inflict murder, terror, and torture upon them. The spirit had deliberately destroyed ships so that new people would come here, be hurt, and suffer. And this was the spirit's plan. Or more deeply, there was some strange force behind it. Oliver and Jim were left speechless after hearing these horrifying words. They had already suspected that something abnormal was happening on the island, but this level of terror was completely new to them. Now, they truly realized that the only way to survive was to find a way to escape the island. They were determined to figure out how to break free from this nightmare that seemed to have no end. Now that they had learned the truth, the doctor decided to help them. He promised to assist them in escaping the island. Oliver and Jim began packing their belongings, but just then, in the darkness of the night, a girl named Lanth came to Oliver. She warned him, "You need to leave this island as quickly as you can. Danger is waiting for you here." But despite the warning, Oliver couldn't find peace. He followed Lanth and saw her enter a room where her behavior started to become strange. Her eyes flickered with an unnatural shock, which only deepened the fear in Oliver's heart. Something wasn't right, and he knew he needed to uncover the truth before it was too late. At that moment, the sound of a gunshot echoed through the air. Oliver froze, confused, and unable to comprehend what had just happened. The noise left him paralyzed, unsure of what to do next. The following morning, he received the devastating news. His friend Jim was dead. The shock hit him like a sledgehammer. All the courage he had gathered up until that point crumbled away. The weight of the loss pressed down on him, and the hope of escaping the island seemed to fade further away. The realization that this island was far more dangerous than he ever imagined set in, and he was now left questioning how much more he could endure. Afterward, Oliver notices that Lanthe has started behaving strangely as well. She changes so drastically that the doctor is forced to restrain her to a bed to prevent her from harming anyone. Witnessing all these events, Oliver can no longer hold back his anger and frustration. He looks at the doctor and Fingal, his voice filled with rage and disbelief, and says, "You didn't tell me the whole truth. Why was so much hidden from me?" But after sending Oliver back to his boat, the doctor and Fingal do everything they can to help him escape. They prepare everything he needs to leave the island safely. They even give him cotton to block his ears, so that eerie, haunting sound doesn't drive him mad. At this point, all he wants is to survive and get away from this nightmare island. Oliver's situation takes an even darker turn when he realizes the eerie sound can't be escaped, not even with cotton stuffed in his ears. As he rows further, the fog grows thicker, almost alive, and suddenly, he's surrounded by 3 strange women. One of them is Perseus, and there's something terrifying in her eyes, something not human. Within the dense fog, chaos unfolds. The women suddenly appear on Oliver's boat, and in panic, he falls into the cold, dark water. But as Perseus' ghostly presence fades, something changes. The women seem human again. They begin to realize something terrible happened to Oliver. And deep down, they know under Perseus' influence, they've done terrible things before. Finally realizing the danger they're in, the girls make a heartbreaking decision. They choose to end their own lives. But in doing so, something powerful happens. Perseus' dark spirit vanishes completely, because now there are no more living women left on the island to possess. With that, her ghostly grip is broken, and peace returns to the island at last. And just when it seems like Oliver had drowned and disappeared forever, he returns, climbing back onto his boat, alive. It turns out this was the only way to break Perseus' curse. By escaping her influence, he unknowingly sets the island free. Oliver's survival and the island's release from its dark curse feels like the rise of a new sun. Thank you so much for watching this video.